Good morning, my friends. Happy left angle cross of endeavor. I am so delighted to be here with you. And you can see on today's transit report, I've actually got my personal transit report up. And I want to show you something that's really interesting here. See this 24? That's the moon. The moon in the line of confession. And this is the courage to admit the mistakes of the past that everyone is learning about. Because the moon exalts this line. You can see that pink arrow that's pointing upward there. So this is our conscious focus that the transit is bringing in. And the moon exalted reads the practical value of starting with a clean slate, symbolized by the new moon. Rational correction that opens the way to new possibilities. I love this line. I love fifth lines. Happy fifth line day! It's a nice day to be with you, to get the message of human design out into the world. One of my secret tips and tricks that has worked really well for me. I have 9 fifth lines, and fifth line days are a really great day to put things out into the world, to talk to strangers, to have reach across the chasm, across the void from one person to another, to be able to explain things or, just get the word out there. That's what fifth lines are good for. We are so deep when it comes to universalizing things in a new way. Remember to be practical. So we've got a lot of fifth lines here. So sun, earth, the nodes as well, and then of course that moon there. So another little neat thing that I'll show you when you combine someone's chart with another person's chart or with the transits, as in this case, you'll see that there is an arrow pointing up on top of the green transit. And that is because my Jupiter is there in that 23, my conscious Jupiter right there. And Jupiter exalts that line so that you can see the effect on either side. Okay, the exaltation of that Jupiter being able to communicate individual insight to the collective. Yay! Awesome. And you can see I've got that channel of awareness design of a thinker today because of that moon in the third line, interdependence, which is my conscious personality. And also, you're going to see that the moon and Uranus are sitting there in gate 24 together. So we'll go read that in a moment. You can see here's my personality moon. So my focus or conscious driving force is about finding inner truth because this is the gate of mystery. And the third line here is called interdependence. It is exceedingly difficult for truth to stand alone. It's one of the lifelong lessons that I'm learning about in this life. So the moon shows up here as the ability to establish relationships for the actualization of truths, and through their nurturing and protective power to ensure a stable environment in which they can continue to grow. The pressure to know enhanced through collaboration. And it was one of the most curious things to me when I first started teaching Living Your Design in collaboration with others, just recognizing how it would always focus on asking someone, what's it like for you? Explaining something when it comes to human design, especially with Ra's words, because it's not my system. Got that totally undefined, completely open ajna, taking his system and re-explaining it in my own way and seeing if that landed or made sense or resonated with that other person. And that's one of the ways that I've trained myself as a human design analyst and now analyst teacher to be able to really, where the rubber meets the road of this system, test it out, validate it, experiment with it. And I find each of us a fertile experimental ground to test this knowledge. So I encourage you, when you look at the transits, don't just look at them alone if you're studying this. Do what I've just done as an example. I have created a companionship chart with the transit. So all you do is go to New Transit. You see that? And then you just type in that person's chart, and then you get to see what is going on with that person. So as you can see, my husband is experiencing a totally different connection to that transit. than I personally am, because of course he's got many different connections. All right, so the other thing I wanted to show you that is so cool, my daughter says that all the time, so cool. So human design is so cool. And here we go. What I want you to see over here is that there's a green arrow pointing downward. The green arrow pointing downward is showing me that the transit itself is influencing the way that my own Mercury is showing up. Okay, so this is Mercury, communication and thinking. And here we have the line of authorization, where a lifelong learning process for me in communication with others is about the external recognition of one's potential despite limitations. So do you see how there's a black arrow pointing up? That's my personal natal design. But currently, because we have Venus that is also there inside of that channel, as you can see, Venus detriments this particular line 41, line 5. So you can see normally I have the value of energy when properly channeled and the fuel for properly channeled feelings despite limitations. This is because my own Mars is conjunct there right in the same gate, and so it influences this line value into the exaltation, why there's an arrow pointing up. Now I want you to look at the flip side and see, this is what Venus is influencing Laveena to experience during this transit. A persistent dissatisfaction with limitation which hampers development even when supported. And limitations initiate the fuel for negative feelings. So that, there you have it there. Is there any other opportunity I can show you here? Here, right there. For Mercury, which we know is in gate 21, conjunct there with the Sun, and this is the line of chaos now. Mercury moves pretty quickly. Chaos, we're learning about where ineffective action leads to disorder. So because there is a Venus, little Venus symbol there, Venus detriments this line, and I have Venus in 21.3, so it's going to affect how I filter this stream. Venus affects this line like this: withdrawal and reliance on inner order in a chaotic situation. Where the material direction is chaotic, the ego will withdraw and use its power to find an inner order. Let's go back to looking at just the Just Now chart. All right, just the Just Now chart. So as you can see, we don't have any planets in retrograde, otherwise there would be a little R down here. And we have changed lines, so let's go explore that. Fifth line, gate 21, line 5. Again, this is the biting through gate, the gate of the hunter or huntress, someone who is here to implement things in order for the tribe, everyone down below and everyone up above, for the tribe to have what they need. So the fifth line here is called Objectivity. We're learning the use of force must be based on impartiality and not emotionally motivated. Jupiter exalts this line. A principled and legal character that ensures objectivity, the balanced ego whose willpower is applied objectively. And then Pluto detriments this line. The drive for elimination is so powerful that objectivity is related purely to cause and not effect. In other words, the ego whose willpower is applied subjectively. So you can see you are going to have a different experience of that core radiating life force that is bombarding all of us right now, depending on what you personally have either in that gate yourself or in that channel, affecting the other side of the channel. Now let's go read the grounding for today. Mars exalts this line, the natural urge to apply energy to action, a taste for action. Moon detriments it, an over-reliance on the need for protection that in times of social renewal is obsessed with the details of planning at the expense of action. So, in other words, you may recognize insecurity with one's depth that can fail to take action. That's our transit brief for today. Come join the fun at humandesign.live.